seems like we've been waiting forever for a new Volvo XC90, but it has finally arrived, and I've been driving it this week, and I have to say I've really enjoyed this car. Now, to back up that theory of this car, it has won absolutely heaps of awards. Now, it was also Express's Car of the Year in 2015. It was also their SUV of the Year in 2016. And to be honest, this car hasn't got a lot to live up to. The old XC90 was pretty awful, and it was just so cluttered and grey and dowdy, and it wasn't a particularly nice car. But this new XC90 is an absolute breath of fresh air, and Volvo are doing so well at the moment with their cars. Now, this XC90 is massive. You get 7 seats with this car. So you have the 2 at the front, you have the row of 3 there, and then there's 2 at the back, and it is actually really easy to get in and out of. Now, when those rear seats are down, you've got a huge boot space, so this is an absolutely perfect family vehicle. We're going to take it for a drive, and we're going to see how it handles on the road with the D5 diesel engine, which is only a 4-cylinder, and it is just 2 litres. Now, this is a massive car for such a small engine, so we're going to see how it performs and see if that small engine does make it, you know, not as quick as maybe some of its competitors. Okay, so like I said before, this XC90 does come with the D5 diesel engine, 2 litres, 4-cylinder. It doesn't sound massive, but it actually produces 235 brake horsepower. Now, if you're also looking at maybe a company car, it's 149 grams of CO2, which isn't a high band at all, and it also, they say, can do about 49.6 miles to the gallon combined, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I haven't got anywhere near that, I have to admit, but this is a fairly new car, and the engine hasn't really been broken in as much as it probably should be. Now, other engine options for this car are the petrol T6, and obviously that is a little bit quicker, and it also is less economical, but if you prefer petrol, it's petrol. There's also a petrol hybrid option, which is the T8, and they say, I think it's about 49 grams of CO2, so you're looking at free road tax or something like that. Now, this is the top of the range one, the R design. There's R design bits all over the car, and it actually retails at 55, well, with all the spec bits on this car is £55,500. Now, if you're just buying the base R design one, you're talking at £50,000. If you're looking at the proper base one, which is the diesel Momentum, you can pick it up for about £46,000. Now, that might sound like quite a lot of money, but when you've been driving this car like I have for the past week, you kind of can see where they get those figures from. It is an absolutely cracking car. It's just so smooth. When you're driving it, you don't feel like an idiot. You feel kind of... There's some cars that I've driven in the past, I just feel like everyone's looking at me. Whereas this car, it just glides along in its own way. No one looks at you like you're going to cut them up or drive in front of them, and I feel a bit like a yummy mummy, obviously, without the kids, but there's plenty of room for kids in this car, and if you are looking for a 7-seater, this is just ideal. It really is. The bags of room, it's comfortable, the technology in it is just mind-blowing, it really is. And on the standard models, which is the Momentum, you get loads of kit. It comes with this touchscreen element here. Now, it's a bit like an iPad, so it's fairly simple to use. It comes with these dash illuminations, so it's all digital dash over here. There's also, you've got electronic handbrakes. All cars come with the 8-speed automatic gearbox, and I really can't fault this car, and it's been a real pleasure to drive this. You know, I can't fault it, put it that way. Other things you might want to know about this car is obviously the safety systems. I mean, I probably don't need to tell you about Volvo's absolutely incredible history on safety systems. They literally invented the word safety within the car industry. So with this car, there's blind spot monitoring system, there's lane departure, so if I'm drifting out of a lane, it pulls me back in again. You've got adaptive cruise control, there's collision warning systems, there's a 360-degree camera, there's reversing camera, the tailgate is electric. There just is an absolute endless amount of equipment on these cars, and when I said about the £46,000 outlay to start with, it just doesn't, it feels bit of value for money. You know, it seems strange to talk about a car that is £46,000 being value for money, but I honestly believe this is the best SUV on the market at the moment. Now, competition for this car is the Audi Q7, BMW X5 and cars of that type, but I believe this car is probably better looking than all those. It's nicer to drive, it's more economical, and it's less ostentatious on the road, which for me it actually is a bit of a plus point for this car. I would have one so easily, I really would. If I could afford this, I would not give it back, and it's such a shame I've got to give it back tomorrow because I really don't want to give Volvo those keys back. So it's definitely worth a look. Now, this R design is pretty special. It's got the R design features, the silver mirrors, it's got these absolutely beautiful seats, they really are lovely. The interior is just such a joy to be in. But do be aware, I have heard a couple of instances where this touchscreen has gone wrong. That does come back with CarPlay, Bluetooth, DAB, but it also controls your air conditioning, heated seats, stop and start, distance alert, park assist. It controls so much to do with the car, but as soon as that's not working, you don't really have much that you can use on it. So I'm not sure if they were just freak ones going wrong, but I have heard a couple have gone wrong, which is a shame because that's the only thing I've heard about this car that's a down point. So if you are looking for a 7-seater, there's something that's a bit different, safe for your family, plenty of room, economical, and just a joy to kind of be behind the wheel in, you cannot beat this Volvo XC90.